Have you ever wondered why the moral lessons we grew up with just don't seem to land with the next generation? It's a tough question, and today we're going to dive into it. We're exploring how to forge a new moral compass for a world that's changing faster than we can keep up. So let's get right into it. So let's kick things off with a number that really paints a picture. A 2018 survey found that a staggering 91% of Gen Z report physical or emotional symptoms of stress. Now, this isn't just about exams or social drama. It's a symptom of trying to navigate a world with a dizzying number of choices and a ton of conflicting messages. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Right. So why does it feel like the moral rulebook our parents and grandparents used just doesn't quite fit anymore? Are the old values themselves totally obsolete? Or is there something much, much bigger happening just beneath the surface? That is the central question we are going to unpack. To even begin to answer that, we first have to get our heads around the fact that we're living through a massive paradigm shift. You know, what we're seeing with Gen Z isn't just a simple generation gap. It's the result of the very foundations of our society, our sources of truth, our communities, our core values. All of them are changing in a fundamental way. So what exactly is a paradigm shift? It's not just a fancy buzzword, I promise. It means the entire framework we use to make sense of the world is being replaced with a new one. This isn't just about cool new gadgets and technology. It's a deep, profound transformation in who we trust, how we connect with each other, and what we even believe is right or wrong in the first place. So what does the shift actually look like on the ground? Well, for starters, think about authority. It's moved from parents and teachers to the internet and our peers. The classic nuclear family, that's evolved into all sorts of diverse and fluid forms. And our core values have kind of tilted away from community and stability toward individual freedom and identity. And maybe the biggest one, information. It's no longer handed down from vetted institutions. It's fed to us by algorithms. Any one of these shifts would be huge, but all of them happening at once, that creates a completely new world for a young person to grow up in. And that leads us to the consequences, right? Because if the entire landscape has changed, it's really no wonder that the old maps, the old moral compasses, seem broken. So now let's dig into why the traditional ways of teaching right from wrong are having such a hard time finding their footing in this new world. Just think about role models for a second. In the past, they were these distant institutional figures, presidents, famous scientists, heroes from history class. They were vetted. Today's main role models are digital influencers. They feel like your friends, they're in your pocket 24/7, and their popularity is driven by algorithms, not by some official stamp of approval. But the moral messages they send, well, they're often complicated. And that brings us to this absolutely crucial idea, moral ambiguity. We're not talking about clear-cut good versus evil here. We're talking about all those gray areas. It's the influencer promoting a sketchy product but for a good cause, or pulling a prank that walks a fine line between hilarious and just plain cruel. The internet is absolutely saturated with these situations, which makes it incredibly tough for a young person to develop a clear moral direction. So, what's the real impact of all this gray area? Well, research from Harvard points to something pretty shocking. Seeing a role model do something morally ambiguous can actually lead to less moral behavior than seeing them do something clearly wrong. It's almost like the confusion itself is what chips away at a young person's moral foundation. And the fallout from this is huge. When every value system online looks equally valid, moral standards can start to feel relative, just another opinion. The authority of parents and teachers who just can't compete with that constant stream of digital content gets watered down. All of this leads to a kind of fragmented moral identity, paced together from all these conflicting inputs on and offline. And our education systems, frankly, they just weren't built to move this fast. Okay, so that is the challenge. And it's a big one, for sure. But the point of this isn't to be a downer, it's to be realistic so we can be constructive. So how do we start forging a new compass? This next part is all about the toolkit, the core ideas we can use to start navigating this new moral world. And this right here is the key mindset shift we all have to make. We can't rewind the clock. There's no going back to some simpler time. And just being nostalgic isn't going to solve a thing. The only way forward is to adapt and to equip the next generation with durable, flexible tools that actually work in the world as it exists today. So our first tool is a classic for a reason, the golden rule. In a world where everything can feel relative, this principle is such a powerful anchor. It's not a rigid list of do's and don'ts. Instead, it's a way of thinking that's rooted in empathy. It forces us to stop and ask that simple, powerful question: how would this feel if it were happening to me? Tool number 2 is a direct answer to the hyper-individualism we see everywhere: communitarianism. It's this core idea that we're not just these isolated individuals making it all up as we go. We build our identities and find meaning through our connections to our family, our friends, our communities. It puts the idea of shared responsibility back in the center, reminding us that, hey, our actions always impact other people. And our third tool comes straight from science: positive psychology. This field shows us that a truly happy, flourishing life isn't just about chasing pleasure. It's built on pillars like having a sense of meaning, accomplishment, and, this is the big one, positive relationships. The real insight here is that being a good, moral person isn't just a chore or a duty. It's actually a scientifically backed path to genuine happiness and well-being. Okay, so we have our tools: the golden rule, a focus on community, and insights from positive psychology. But what does all this actually look like in a real school, in a real classroom? In this final section, we're going to see how these ideas are already being put into practice all over the world. And this isn't just theory, it's happening right now. Look at Finland, where they use phenomenon-based learning to get students debating the ethics of real-world issues like climate change. Or Singapore, which has a whole national curriculum dedicated to bridging traditional values with modern life. And Canada is a real leader in digital citizenship, teaching kids the critical thinking skills they desperately need online. And here's a super practical method anybody can use. Let's take a traditional concept like filial piety. Instead of just demanding rigid obedience, you can break it down. What's the core principle? Okay, it's respect and care for elders. Then you translate that into modern language like responsibility and respect. And then you apply it to totally new situations like, what does respectful digital etiquette with your grandparents look like? See? It's not about throwing the value away, it's all about translating it. So if there's one thing to take away, it's this: the entire goal of moral education is changing. It's no longer about a teacher standing at the front of a room just instructing a bunch of passive students with a list of rules. The new goal is to facilitate a dialogue, to explore those messy gray areas, and to move from abstract ideas to hands-on, real-world practice. And that leaves us with this final, massive question. In a world defined by infinite information and endless choice, our challenge isn't to give Gen Z a fixed, rigid map. It's to give them the tools to build their own durable, reliable compass, one that can help them navigate whatever new territories lie ahead. Thinking about how we do that, well, that's one of the most important conversations we can possibly have. Thanks for joining me.